What's up, everybody? It's AJ with etrailer.com. Today we're going to be checking out the BedSlide sliding truck bed tray. Now it's going to be heavy duty, and this is going to be great for if you have a camper shell like we have here, maybe a tonneau cover, or you just have trouble accessing the items in the front of your truck bed. This is going to be able to slide that out. You can see this is what would normally be all the way up there towards the front. Now it's out here, I can easily grab it, and with this in the way, that makes it super easier. Or if you had a tonneau cover, it's just easy access to your stuff, leaving room for the things that might not stay in there that long. Maybe you went and got groceries. You can throw them here, take them out easily. It makes it more organized and more room for your space. Let's check it out. Right now we have it fully extended, just showing you the full range of it. This would be a good example. You know, you got the heavier generator towards the back for the job site. You got your tools here. If you just even have random buckets of tools or hardware that's just laying around, it's nice. That's just going to keep it all contained in this space and actually kind of help you organize a little better, because otherwise you'd have that all jammed up front and you have to go through all this stuff just to get to the generator. Even if you could, like the camper shell is going to make that hard. You don't have to climb up there and get in there and get that. All your tools are still here and way easier to access. So let's go through all the different stopping points it has. You're going to pull on this handle here. It's really easy. You can do it with one hand. And just push it in. I'm going to stop when it locks. Right there is a stopping point. So that way, if you don't need that generator right now, you're just trying to get to this toolbox or something, you can just pull out that much, and that's good. Push it in a little bit more. There's another stopping point. Again, something more towards this end. You don't quite need that generator, but you can still grab something if you need it. Save you time when pulling this whole thing out. And then this is going to be the final spot here. I'm going to go ahead and shut the tailgate and show you how much space is going to be in between there. And with it shut, you can see you don't have to worry about it hitting that or scratching off the back of your tailgate. There's still space here, plenty of room. There's not going to be any issues. Now you might not be able to see it here, but let me extend it all the way out again to get a better look at it. You might notice that it does slope up in its fully extended position, and that's just because it can handle up to 2,000 pounds. And if you have that loaded up here towards the back, it's going to push down on us a little bit, and you don't want it making any contact with the tailgate or anything. This just gives it that extra space, so that if you were to weigh it down with like a heavier generator on this end, this would be just level with the truck. It wouldn't slope down and damage anything. The whole thing has a steel construction on the sides. That's this part and the rails up here. And then here is a composite decking. So it's kind of a nice textured finish, similar to a spray and bed liner. So it's got that texture and that functionality of the grip. If you look over here by the tools, you can see I can push around a little bit. It still moves, but that texture is going to help things stay in place. And that goes the same thing with the rails here. With them here, you don't have to worry about anything sliding off. You even have tie-down points here that you can loosen and move back and forth just to help keep your gear in place. You can also customize it with accessories. So one thing I would get for this one is a divider that would go into the rails, and it would just divide your work equipment from what else you're going to put it back here, or the big stuff from the small stuff. You can separate it however you want. You can also get bins that attach along the side for more loose things. You can drop in there. Maybe hand tools can go in there. That way you can keep that organized. You don't have to just lay it out and take up the bed space. Now let's get some measurements, see how much space you actually have to work with here. So we're going to go straight across. Get the width real first. It's 45.5 inches there. Let's do height of the rail. So flip it around. A little bit under 5, so it looks like 4 3/4 there. And then we'll go length. It's right there at usable space. It'd be probably 69 inches. That's going to be from that ledge of the steel there to this ledge right here, because you're not going to have anything overhanging that. You probably want to know if it's going to fit in the back of your truck or not. So let's go ahead and get some measurements there. I'm going to go all the way to the back rail and measure out to this handle right here. Got it hooked on there now. Hold this straight up and down. Looks like 75.5 inches out here. And then we'll go side to side. And instead of going the inside like we did last time, we're just going to do outside to outside. .48.5 inches from side to side there. And the last measurement we're going to get is from the high point here on the bed to the top of the deck right there. It's going to be 4.5 inches. And what this one's for is if you do have a tonneau cover, you're thinking about throwing like a tub on here on top, you want to make sure you have that clearance to actually keep that closed and have the bed slide in there at the same time. Now you do have some options if you're looking at sliding bed trays. You have the bed slide like we're talking about today, and then also the cargo glide. And they're going to have a bunch of different weight capacity options for whatever vehicle you want to put it in, but there is some differences. Like this bed slide is going to have more of the add-on accessories like the bins for the loose hardware, loose tools. The cargo glide does not have the same options. They have a few, but not as much as this one. Another thing is you can slide this out to 75% of the bed tray. So that's how much space you're going to get. So it doesn't come out, so the cargo glide will come out 100% of the bed tray, and it doesn't slope up, so it's going to come out just straight like this. So if you were to weigh it down, it would be all coming down on here. That was one of the things that the bed slide has. Like, even though it doesn't come all the way out, you can still access stuff right here. I didn't have any problems grabbing it. It just comes right here, and it slopes up. That's going to protect the back and just kind of level it out. That way, it just keeps everything level. As far as installation goes, they're going to be similar, but I think that I like the bed slide better because it gives you a better tool when you're doing the rib nut portion of it. It just has a better tool that's higher quality that made the job overall easier. Now either way, you're going to have to drill some holes, so just follow along with us and see how we did it. First up, we're going to come here to the ends. I'm going to unscrew this with an Allen key and just loosen that screw that's down in there. That way we can remove the end and slide in our pieces. Just like that. You're going to want to do it with the curved end facing down. That way it slides in there like this. Just going to put 2 of those in there, and then we'll replace the end here. Coming to this end, I went ahead and removed the end cap just like before. We're going to put these blocks in again with the curved side down, slide them along the track. We're going to put 5 of them in. Just like this. And replace the cap. Now we're going to line up our corner bracket. What we're going to do is you can just slide those blocks pretty easily along the track. You're going to want to line those up with the holes on the bottom of this bracket. So let's set it in place and see. We need to push this one in just a little bit more. Match up that hole. Looks like we need to come over right there, and I can. There we go. The holes are aligned there, and now we can install our screws. And then I'll come back and tighten it down the rest of the way with the Allen wrench. So after we got this corner installed, we're going to stop there. We're not going to install the other corner just yet. You got to slide this rail in first. So what we're going to do is, just like on the sides, we're going to slide one of those plastic pieces in with the curved side down, and then slide this into the corner bracket. You're going to line up those holes there. Make sure the rail is going to touch the end here, so it doesn't need to slide this out just a little bit. I can move it into place there. All right, with that in place, and come back with this bolt and thread it in. And then come back with a ratchet and tighten it down. After installing the first corner and the head rail, we went over to the other side and did the same thing. Now we're coming back here to on the side, and we're going to use the existing plates we put in there. So I kind of got it lined up what we're going to do. These are going to be for the D-rings here on the side. We're going to screw those in, and the 2 in the middle here are going to be for the side bracket for the side rails. So what we're going to do is just set that in place like we did before. Line up those holes. Let's go ahead and line up this one first. Get it started. Once I got that hand started, I can move it on its own and line up that one. I'll come back and loosely install this. You don't want to tighten this all the way just yet, but I'm just going to get them a little bit tighter. Now I'll come back with the D-rings and slowly screw those in. And we decided to put one on each side of that side bracket. We're going to leave those loose too so we can move them back and forth for now. Now we can install the upper rail. I'm going to put these blocks in real quick before we do that. Same as we've done all the time. Curved end down. With those slid in, now you can see that I just slid those in on the open side. We want that open side to go into the bracket. So slide that into place there. Then I can slide our side bracket down. We want at least 6 inches of space from the bracket to the end for that nice clean look. So I'll leave this loose and come back here in a second. I'm going to add the bolts in here to the plastic pieces we slid in. Now I left that loose in the corner bracket just to keep it in place. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Just going to line up this side bracket with the plastic that we put in there and get that hand tightened. With everything in place where we want it, we can go back and tighten everything down, and then we're going to repeat this whole process on the other side. Now we're ready to lift up the bed slide and put it in place. Now you're going to need some extra set of hands because it's pretty heavy, especially towards the back. And when you go to set it in here, make sure you center it. We put a piece of cardboard here so it doesn't scratch up the bed as we're lining it up. And you want 1.5 inches from the front of the bed there. So the extra set of hands, you're going to lift it, set it in place. This is where the cardboard comes in handy because we're going to slide it towards the front. So we finally got it right in the bed of the truck. Took a little bit of maneuvering back and forth. We measured from the wheel wells just to make sure that was the same spacing on each side. Up front is where we had the trouble of lining that up. So what we've discovered is if we got 2 pieces of wood and put it there and they measured out 1.5 inches, if we set that at the front of the truck bed and then pushed it up against it, that was far easier than trying to line up each corner because we kept going back and forth and we're having issues with that. So we just put those wood up there, pushed up against there. Now it's even on both sides and it's set in place. Just going to reach up and slide this back to the first locking position. Right there, and then go up and start drilling our holes. Now we're ready to check out and see where we're going to drill our holes. Now we've slid it out just to expose those holes we can use, and each one has 3 spots. You can see there. And it's going to be the best one that has the most coverage on it and the part that goes up on your bed. So not this part that makes an indention. This would not be a good one to pick, so we're not going to go with the middle one. This one has a little bit here on the raised side. This one has the most, so this is the one we're going to go with. So what we do is we're going to take our 1/2 inch drill bit. That's the one we're going to drill our last hole out with. So I'm just going to kind of push down on there. Use that tip to make a point in the bed just so I can see where it's going to be. Now that I've made that mark, I'll come back with the center punch, put in that same spot, and just push down. It's going to make an even more of a hole so I can start my pilot hole. And with that first pilot hole, we're going to repeat that on the other holes. We're going to come back here. Now we've got the pilot hole and use our 1/2 inch bit to go ahead and widen that up. One thing you want to make sure you get is the right kit for your truck. Most of the insulation is going to be the exact same with all the bed slide, except if you have an aluminum bed. You're going to want to get the aluminum bed kit because it has specific hardware like aluminum riv nuts. They're going to have to go in the furthermost holes, and then there's going to have nylon sleeves for the back holes and even plates that go underneath. So just make sure you get the right kit for the right truck. With a hole enlarged, we can drop in our riv nut. I'm just going to apply a little bit of pressure with my thumb. It'll go into place there. Now we can get it to expand, and how we're going to do that is use this bolt and riv nut tool. Now something we found that was helpful, because as you go to tighten this down, you're going to drop this through, use a wrench and another tool, and what that's going to do is that bolt's going to make the riv nut expand down there. And it kind of fights you a little bit, but we found if you add a little bit of grease, it makes it way easier. So I'm just going to dab the shop towel in there, just get a little bit of it, put it on the bolt itself, and then a little bit on the tool here so that it can not get stuck on that bolt. So just put a little bit there. Drop that through. And now we're just going to tighten a little bit of it to get it started. That way I won't have to hold it up. We're going to take our ratcheting wrench, set it in place, and I'm going to put all the pressure down on this wrench and then put the Allen key in here too and start to tighten it down. Now we've installed our rib nuts in the furthermost holes up front. We're going to come back here to the second set and put this nylon sleeve right in there. I got a friend lifting up on that side of the bed. Make it easier for us just to drop this into place. You can completely remove it, but this was just easier. Once you drop the nylon sleeves in there, you can go ahead and come up back up here. Tighten these down. That way it's going to help hold this down before we drop our bolts into here. Now I've already tightened those down. So what we're going to do is come back to using these bolts with the washer on them. We're going to drop them through those nylon sleeves we just put in. So just like that on both sides, and then we'll go underneath with the plate. Now underneath, you can see the two bolts right here. They're not super hard to get to. I'm right under here with a creeper. I'm going to take this plate and put it right there and add a washer and a nut. And we're going to do that on both sides. So I got the plate with one hand. You can push it up towards the frame. My buddy Tom's up there on top. He's holding the top side of the bolt. That way I can tighten this one down far easier. Or else it would just spin up there if somebody wasn't holding it. So let's get started with this ratchet. And again, I'll move my hand here in a second, but when I get it started, you don't want that plate spinning around on you while you're tightening down. You kind of got to hold that in place with your hand while you run the bolt down. And we already did the same thing on the other side. With those bolts tightened down, the installation is complete. It wasn't that bad. There was just a few parts like the drilling and the rib nuts, but overall I was impressed with this. I really like it, especially if you have a camper shell like this truck. Really helps you get access to those items that are going to be more towards the front that you couldn't get to anyway. That generator being heavy, didn't like climbing up there to try and grab it. I could just slide out, grab it right here, pull it out and set it down. Well, I think that about does it. Thanks for hanging out. I hope this helped.